Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. How's everyone doing? Let me find my live chat here. Sapphire, Grandma Ducky, good to see y'all. Melanie, Christina, Lisa 54. Uh-oh. Can't scroll my chat. Let's see. Misty Walker, Cheryl Lynn, Mike, Cement Shoes, It's a Crying Shame. Good morning, y'all. So this morning, we're going to be talking about Deorr Kunz Jr.'s case. He has been missing since 2015. He was only 2 years old when he disappeared from Timber Creek Campground in Idaho. Faithful one, Vicki, Debbie, good morning. How are y'all doing? Of course, since I decided to do Deorr's case this morning, I've seen all kinds of true crime news. I did see something about the West brothers, and I do want to take a look at that before we get started on Deorr's case. Also, yesterday, I forgot to share something with you guys. Yesterday morning, I rescued another dove, another mourning dove. It was inside of the chicken lot when I went over there, and it couldn't find its way out. So before I let out the chickens, I tried to get it out. What it did, it was trying to go through the chain link fence, and it got stuck. So I went over there and gently got it unstuck and let it fly away. That's twice I've held a wild dove, rescued it. They get inside that chicken lot, and then they can't figure out how to get out. Okay. So Crime Online just put up an article, and they're talking about the West brothers. There was another article that I shared in my Patreon yesterday evening, and the chief of police said that he did talk to the other kids that lived in the home with Orrin and Orson West. And those kids say that they last saw Orrin and Orson on December 19th. Let me get over here to my StreamYard thing so I can share this. I'm going to try to hurry and read it. That way we can do Deorr's case. 2 top boys still missing vanished from home nearly 6 weeks ago. It's been nearly 6 weeks since 2 California brothers disappeared, with a reward for information that leads to their whereabouts totaling $100,000. Orrin and Orson, ages 3 and 4, were last seen on December 21st, 2020, at a home in the 10,700 block of Aspen Avenue in California City around 5:45 p.m., according to what the adoptive parents told police. Then it just goes on to say what Trezell said happened. He was out back gathering firewood. The boys were out there playing with chalk. He leaves the gate open and realizes the boys are gone. Jacqueline, the adopted mother, is allegedly inside the house, wrapping gifts. Okay. West also reportedly said that on December 19th, 2 days before the boys disappeared, the entire family, which includes 4 additional children, left the home to go shopping. Security footage from the neighbor's home, according to police, shows adults leaving with all 6 children. I thought it just showed 4 children. Security footage also appears to show the West couple later returning home alone without any of the children, Bakersfield Now reports. Trezell West told investigators that they dropped off 4 of their children at a family member's house after they were done shopping on December 19th, but brought Orson and Orrin back home. 2 days later, according to Trezell West, the boys were missing. Police suspect foul play is involved in the boys' disappearance, but no one has been named as a suspect. We did do a thorough search of the surrounding areas, and the toddlers were not there, so that tells me that they didn't just keep walking, California City Police Chief John Walker said. anyone with information on this case should contact the California City PD at 760-373-8606. So what did they do with the boys? Now, this article says that all of the kids were seen leaving with the family to go shopping December 19th. Trezell, Jacqueline come back home and they got no kids with them. What in the hell? I thought the security footage only showed 4 kids getting into the van on December 19th. ATC. So I'm a little bit confused. LDOT, that's what I'm thinking. When I was reading that, I was thinking, did they take those kids and abandon them in the wilderness somewhere? I'm wondering, okay, so I know investigators took some of their devices. They took their cell phones. The chief said they already gave the cell phones back to them. But I'm wondering if they've used like GPS to see where all they had been, you know, in the days before the boys disappeared. Cece, I sent you an email yesterday. Hope you got it. Oh, I've not checked my emails, Mike. Let me make a note. I need to check emails. I'm so bad about that. I just get so many junk emails from all these different companies and stuff. Anyhow, I hope and pray that they find these boys safely. It is possible, guys, that these kids are safe, that they handed them off to somebody. That's a possibility. I'm trying to keep an open mind about it. See, Mitch, use prayers for your dad, hun. Sorry to hear he's not doing well. Keep us updated. Let us know. CC, no worries. I labeled the subject as cool kids. Okay. Okay, I'll make sure I check my emails as soon as I get off here. Hey, Lisa. There's your late slip. Anyhow, let's get to Deorr Kunz case. Let me get something pulled up here. Let me get his little picture shared so everybody knows what he looks like. There's little Deorr. Okay. So Deorr vanished July 10th, 2015. He was 2 years old. He was born December 30th, 2012. My son's birthday is the 29th. Anyways, what happened? And this happened in Idaho at Timber Creek Campground. And I will show you guys pictures of Timber Creek Campground. I'm not going to look at the chat for a minute because I will get distracted and lose my train of thought. Okay, so what happens is this sudden, Deorr's parents planned this sudden camping trip. It was like on a Thursday night, which would have been like July 9th, 2015. They decided to take off and go camping. They're going to take, the parents are Deorr, I think they call him Bernal, but he is Deorr Sr. The mom is Jessica Mitchell. The grandfather, which is Jessica's grandfather, what's his name? Crap, guys. Let me get my crap pulled up here. His name is Bob. I've got my notes all mixed up. Just give me just 1 second. Robert Walton, but they call him Bob. And Bob's friend, Isaac Reinwand, they all went camping. They arrived Thursday night on the 9th. It's dark. Isaac, the friend of the grandfather, sets up a tent. The grandfather sleeps inside of the camper, Grandpa Bob. Deorr Sr., we're going to call him Bernal so we don't get him mixed up with Deorr Jr., a.k.a. Little Man. So Jessica, Bernal, and Little Man sleep in the back of Grandpa Bob's Suburban. Okay. Now, I just want to add that Jessica and Vernal did not know Isaac Reinwand until he went on the camping trip with them. Isaac was a friend of Grandpa Bob's. And Grandpa Bob, he was real sick at this time, and he was wearing oxygen and stuff. And Jessica, his granddaughter, was actually being paid to take care of him. Jessica says her mom suggested that they take Grandpa Bob on this unexpected, unplanned camping trip because Bob used to camp there in his youth. And, she didn't think he'd had much time. He didn't have much time left because he was real sick. So she wanted Jessica to take him on this camping trip. Anyways, they set up camp that night. They go to sleep. The next day, which would have been a Friday, July 10th, 2015, they all wake up. I think Isaac, Bob's friend, woke up first. And then I think Jessica and little man got up. Little Deorr got up. And then Vernal and then Grandpa Bob. Anyways, they eat breakfast. Jessica, little man's mom, discovers that she needs some feminine products. And Vernal needed some gas. So Jessica, Vernal, and little man decide to go into Deorr, Idaho, which is the closest town to the campground. I believe it's about 45 minutes away. Now, according to Isaac Reinwand, the reason they didn't stop and get gas on the way to the campsite is by the time they got there, that gas station was already closed. Anyways, Jessica, little man, Vernal go to town. They go get gas. Jessica goes into the little store. She gets some candy for her grandpa, candy for little man, and some feminine products. She also uses the bathroom while she's in there. Okay, they leave the store. They go back to the campground. When they get back to the campground, Isaac and Grandpa Bob show them some fish that they have caught. And Vernal is like, I don't believe y'all caught those here. So Isaac takes Jessica and Vernal to show them where he caught the fish at. The stream is about 50 to 100 yards away from the campsite. Okay, as they're walking to go look at this fishing spot, it's Jessica, Vernal, Isaac. Little man starts to follow them. Grandpa Bob is at camp. Okay. As they're walking down the path, Jessica turns around and asks little Deorr, little man, hey, do you want to go with us or do you want to stay with Grandpa? She says he wanted to stay with Grandpa. So he turned around, started walking back towards Grandpa sitting by the fire pit. Now, Jessica claims that she hollered and told Grandpa Bob, hey, watch little Deorr. We're going to go down here and look at this fishing hole. Grandpa Bob would later say that he did not hear her say that. He thought that little man went with them. Anyways, they get to the fishing spot. Isaac shows them, and then Isaac leaves them down at the fishing hole because he's going to go retrieve his fishing stuff and go fish at the bank, on the bank. Okay, after about 15 to 20 minutes of Jessica and Vernal being at the fishing hole, they see some minnows swimming about. And Vernal's like, I'm going to go get little man and show him these minnows because little man loved fish and he loved bugs. Vernal walks back up to the campsite. Grandpa Bob is sitting there. He asks him, where's little man at? And Grandpa Bob is like, I thought he was down at the fishing hole with you guys. They search inside the camper. They search around the campsite. They can't find him anywhere. By this time, I think Vernal alerts Jessica, and she comes back up to the campsite. And then a short time later, I think Isaac finds out that he comes back from the fishing hole, and he finds out that little Deorr is missing. Now, I need to look at my chat for just a minute. I'm sorry, guys, if I'm not doing a good job. I'm trying to not refer to my notes and do it from memory because I seem to get confused when I look at my notes. Anyhow, okay, here's what happens after they can't find baby Deorr. Panic sets in. They say that they're panicked. Okay. Now, they know from being there that they don't have good cell phone service. So while Jessica's trying to find the signal, Vernal gets in his vehicle, drives down the road, places a 911 call. Simultaneously, Jessica gets a signal on her phone. She places a 911 call too. So 2 911 calls came in. But here's the thing I found out during my research. Before Jessica called 911, she called her mother. Now, y'all can tell me if that's weird or not. I found it kind of weird, but in a way, not weird because she might have been panicked or something. But anyways, her mom says, Jessica, you need to hang up the phone and call 911. Okay. Within a short time, search and rescue was there. They scour the campsite. They're up in the woods. They're down in the creek. I mean, they're going through this creek inch by inch. They're having to use chainsaws because nature has it blocked off ever so far down the creek, you know. So it was a hard search. They're using helicopters to fly over the Rocky Mountains. They're going in bear dens. They're going in wolf dens. They're checking eagles' nests. Because little Deorr only weighed about 20 pounds and an eagle could easily pick him up. Now, little Deorr, let me see exactly what he was wearing. He was wearing a camouflage jacket. I believe he was wearing some PJs. And he was wearing some boots. His boots was too big. They never found nothing during the search. Not one shred of clothing. Now, you think about this. If something had picked him up and carried him away, his little boots would have fell off. Okay? So, after 2 or 3 days of searching, they let Jessica, Vernal, Isaac, Grandpa Bob leave the campground. Now, Jessica and Vernal go do a news interview. We're going to take a look at that. Here's the thing, though, guys. All these people, all 4 of the adults, had different stories. When asked who fixed breakfast that morning, Vernal said he scrambled the eggs. Jessica said that she did it. Now, come on now. You're going to know who fixed breakfast that morning. And also, Grandpa and Isaac, Ryan have changed their stories. Now, Grandpa has told that he didn't hear Jessica say, hey, watch little Deorr. And then he has come out and told that he saw little Deorr playing by the pine trees in the dirt. And he took his eyes off of him for 10 minutes and he was gone. Okay, so there's a lot to this story, guys. Not long after Deorr went missing, about 5 months after, a private investigator, Frank, I think his name's Frank Vilt, he got involved in this case. Now, Frank used to work for the U.S. Marshals Service. He worked there for 19 years. Well, he got involved in this case because he just wanted to help out. He quit working for the Kunz because he said that they didn't trust him and he couldn't get Jessica to do any news interviews. You know, Jessica was pushing this abduction story. She said that when they went into town that day to get candy, gas, feminine products, there was a man inside the store that was giving little man weird looks. Turns out they tracked down that person, and it is a local who knows the person that works at that store, and they kind of, you know how people know someone that works at a store and they'll come there and hang out and talk with them, all this and that. Here's another thing. Nobody at that store remembers seeing little man. No one remembers seeing him. So a lot of people think that he didn't go on that camping trip. Okay. Anyways, Frank Bilt said, most mothers who have missing kids, they're desperate to get news coverage. And I reckon Jessica and Bernal both turned down doing the Good Morning America show, a lot of other shows, and that would have been good exposure to get little Deorr's photo out there if someone did abduct him. But I don't think anyone abducted him. There was one road into that camp spot and one road out. They would have, if someone was going to abduct him, they would have had to come through the mountains because you would have seen them pull up to the campsite or walk up. Now, there was another private investigator. What's his name? Phillip Klein. He worked on this case. Now, he was sued by Deorr Kunz Sr. for breach of contract. And they weren't too happy because he told the public that he thought the parents were involved based on his investigation. 6 months after Deorr disappeared, Klein was working on this case. Bernal, Jessica split up, right? The apartment that they live in, they didn't pay the rent, so they get evicted. They leave behind items in the apartment. The owner of the apartment complex gave Klein's investigation team permission to search that apartment. And what they found in that apartment was 4 Matchbox cars that the parents said were missing and they couldn't account for, and the jacket, the camouflage jacket that allegedly baby Deorr was wearing when he disappeared. So he suspected the parents. Now, the parents said that he turned on them after they paid him $25,000. But to me, I think it's weird that 2 different private investigators were suspicious of the parents and thought they weren't being truthful. Klein also alleged that when Jessica and Bernal left the campsite, when police allowed them to leave, they came and done an interview. Allegedly, when they left that interview with East Idaho News, they went to a sex store. Went to a sex shop, y'all. I don't know if that was proven or not. Yes, they found the camouflage jacket at home, Lisa Irwin. But here's what I was thinking. When Timothy was little, he used to have 2 jackets that were identical. It was Lightning McQueen jackets. Y'all know that little Disney car, the talking car, the red car? Yes, he had 2 of those jackets. Okay. I'm going to get out of my chat for a minute because we're going to listen to a quick interview. Let me get to my playlist here. There we go. Deorr Kunz. Okay. Where's the full interview? Okay. I'm going to let this ad play and then I'll screen share it. We'll listen to the interview the parents done just days after Deorr vanished from the campground. Now, the first private investigator thinks that Jessica arranged for someone to come and abduct little Deorr behind Bernal's back. Now, his reasoning behind this, he says, is because she had 2 other kids, 2 older kids that she had gave to their father. And he said that she just wanted to be free of kids. He also goes on to say, you could tell she didn't want kids because she had her tubes tied. Hey, there's a lot of people that have their tubes tied. That don't mean they want their kids to vanish, So I kind of disagree with that theory. I don't think she did that. Okay, let's listen, guys.
2:26 is when was it 2:26?
It was 2:36 when I called.
It was 2:36 is when she called, and I was in the truck hauling down the road trying to get service because I didn't think one bar would get it. So she got very, very lucky. I was blessed that she was able to get service because I didn't want to try and risk getting halfway through my talking to 911 and have it cut off. So I went down to where I knew I can get a little service about a half mile down the road. We searched after about 20 minutes and in a dead panic, not knowing where he was in such a small area and not knowing, never being there, I knew I was in trouble. So we decided to call search and rescue. And that's when I drove down. She tried getting a signal out. As soon as I got a hold of them, they told me that she was on the other line with them and they had our location and they were on our way. They were amazing. They are amazing, and they still continue to be. Lemhi County Sheriff and Salmon Search and Rescue, you could not ask for a better group of people, volunteers and search and rescue, and just everybody. You couldn't ask for better people. So sincere, so concerned. And everybody was so emotionally attached to this, as anybody would be of a 2-year-old. He's pretty small for his age, but he moves pretty good, and that was our concern. He was right with us. Where it's at is, I mean, I thought it would be perfect to go camping there because it's enclosed by walls of mountains, and there's not much space around there that he could go. And our biggest concern was the creek, which was knee deep, few feet wide, but he's a little guy. They finally, yesterday, we were able to put that to rest, and Lemhi County Sheriff, Sheriff Dave, and the rest of the sheriffs have put out that they assured me there is 100% chance that he is not anywhere in that water, around that water. They have torn that creek upside down and in and out. Divers have gone through wetsuits, along with the helicopter. That was the world's most advanced search and rescue helicopter, volunteered out of Montana. And those guys were just amazing. The accuracy they had with the night vision ability it has and the heat range it can see. They were the one guy, I can't remember his name. I've met so many people, so many good people, but his own safety, he was more or less, he was strapped in and he was on the side of that helicopter looking, and he was looking down. I remember them telling me that they asked the search and rescue to go look over because there was an orange insect repellent can, they think, by the bank, and they were dead on. That's what it was. That's how accurate these guys are.
They thought it might have been like a part of a shoe or something, but they said, go check that out.
That these guys search miles. So the mile radius they have it is a very rocky terrain. It is very open, but it's not the helicopter that is used to back very deep Montana. It is designed for a lot worse situations than this. And there was not a trace of my son found. There still isn't, but the search is on. That's the hearsay of things has kind of gotten way out of hand. The search is so far has been put on that has been suspended, and that is not entirely sure or true. Sheriff Dave of Lemhi County, I just spoke with him on the phone this morning. He has got horseback riders and trackers up there right now, and very, very advanced professional. I'll be going up and I've just come down to get any resource I can get to go back up today. What questions did you guys have?
Tell us a little bit about, first off, how are you guys holding up? I know a lot of people are praying for you. They're concerned.
Friends and family, and hoping to be strong for him.
The support around us is what's, I know, keeping me together, because if we didn't have all of our family, the minute I called my mom and she was up there in a matter of hours, and same with the rest of our family, they were just up there around us.
Luckily, a few phone calls is all it took at first. And we had, just as Sheriff Davis said in the news, there was 175 plus people up there in the grid searches, volunteers, professionals, and anybody I called. There's the service up there is very here, there. It's camping, you know. We're trying to hold up the best we can, but we have hope is the thing. hope is what keeps it going. Hope is because the search is not over. Search is not done. We will find him
Yeah,
no
you
matter
said
what.
You were in the truck, so was it you that first realized, oh no, Deorr's not here?
No, we both did.
No,
I
we
just,
both did.
after 20 minutes of up and down the creek and up and around the camp and he wasn't there, that's when I got in my pickup truck and drove down the road to try and get some service.
Yeah, especially after screaming his name. We have nicknames for him. No sound of him.
This little
no
boy
crying.
is not, he's a goer and a mover, but he does not go away from his parents. He does not.
Yeah, he's very
So
attached
this
to
is
us.
very unusual.
Very, very unusual, sir.
And we didn't hear people around us. We didn't see anybody. We have.
Have you told them about the EMT bag? That needs to be addressed.
Yeah, I know social media can be a good thing, but it can also
That's
be a bad
that's
thing.
the
We just
one
don't
of the
want
balls we're
anything
going up against.
twisted.
Yeah, we don't want to twist it. So clear up any rumors that you've seen or heard. Or
We've-
We need to
One-
talk about that.
One thing that
We
concerned
want to
me.
get to that. What's most of the biggest rumors that are going around is, I mean, I have heard everything from why you would make a rumor that has to do with a 3-year-old is if you're not going to help, please don't. If it's not helpful,
Yeah,
it's
just-
this is a 2 almost 3-year-old we're talking about. Please help us. But I've heard everything from I am a truck driver. I've heard everything from my company won't let me come home off the road to look for my son. I was there the entire time, and my employer, 4 hours after my son went missing, has been up there day and night, has not slowed down. And that one bothered me, and then they got worse and they got worse and they got worse. But that's a handful of bad with a bunch of good. The amount of support is very overwhelming, and it's good.
Are there any rumors that you've seen, like anything you want to clear up, Jessica?
Somebody at the store, Deorr said, it was one of the ladies that had worked at the store, said that they saw a gentleman and a younger blonde boy matching our description of our son, really filthy, buying candy for him, and he was just bawling in a black truck. That is the only
Here's the problem.
other.
My pickup
He
truck's
drives
black.
a black truck.
As a family, we went down to get a few things.
So it could have been
Earlier,
It
it was
was
earlier
me,
that
but
day.
they claim it was at 6 o'clock that evening, and we were search and rescue until what, 3:45.
Yeah, from
We haven't left the camp since 1 o'clock that afternoon. So it's just a lot of hearsay, and
Was anybody camping around you?
that we don't know. Is I come to find I didn't know the area, and I didn't know it's very open, but you can't see much. There's a road that goes up and along the top. We're camped underneath the reservoir, basically right below it, and you can go up above the reservoir. And I didn't even know the road was up there. And as I traveled up there myself, I come to find out I can see everything going on in that campsite, but you can't see out. You can't see up. You can't see around. And if anybody comes to the bottom of your campground, you can't even see who they are.
So they could have come to your.
They
camp
could have
and
came in and you couldn't never know it. And with the water was not a fast running. It's a creek, but it is quite loud moving through the logs and things like that. So hearing range is not all.
Okay, he said that the water was not fast moving. I watched an interview yesterday. She was down by the river doing an interview, and she said, "Oh, we couldn't stand here because the water was moving so swiftly. So we walked up the creek a little bit."
All that far either. So you couldn't hear anybody coming up either.
So he was just kind of playing, and you guys were doing your thing, and then
He-
you noticed.
he was
he's not
playing
here,
with-
he's
he was
not-
He
with
was
my
playing with
grandfather.
grandpa. He was getting ready for a nap. And I say it was almost, by that time it was almost 2, and he usually takes his nap. We were just, we decided we're going to go a little exploring. He was going to be good with grandpa by the campfire. We weren't more than probably
10
50
minutes.
yards away in 10 minutes. But the time I seen him to the point I figured out he was gone. And I come back up in the creek, and I actually seen there were some things down by the little minnows and I thought he would just love. So when I come back up to get him, and I yelled over to grandpa, where's little Deorr? He immediately shocked. He says, he came up to you because it's such a small area. That's what a lot of people, they don't understand, is they just assume, how could you let your kid out of your sight? This area is pretty well blocked in, and you can see, there's no way you couldn't not see him in what we thought. And in a split second, your whole world is upside down and vanished. There's not a trace found. That's the other reason why this has been called on the news as a suspension, because it is not a suspension, but there's not a single trace of him. This child loses stuff. He's 2, almost 3. Anybody who has a child in that age range knows they leave trails. They lose stuff.
Shoes
No-
fall off,
nothing.
anything.
There's just nothing. And that's where we're starting to move, is there's a possibility that he may be with somebody. And that's what's giving us hope that it's a bad thing that he will be not with us right now, but it also means that there is a good chance that he is alive and with somebody. So we are trying every aspect we can, any aspect we can.
Is that what your gut tells you, as his
Yes.
father?
Yes.
As his father, I believe, and I think after being up there, and a lot of people agree with me a lot, that he is no longer up the mountain anymore. The searching advances they used and was just very thorough for miles. It wasn't a stone left unturned. There still isn't, and still we're going to continue to search. But being his father also, that's where my heart and my gut tell me, but I'm not sure. So that's where I'm asking the public's help. Anything. The Lehigh County Sheriff is who's handling this, but they're not designed for systems quite like this. They've got 2 phone lines, and please be patient. They're doing the best they can, and we all are, and we will find him.
Do you plan to maybe hold a vigil down here? I guess you maybe haven't even thought about it, or do you want the community in Idaho Falls to rally? I mean, I know they don't want a lot of people going up there.
That's what we're not real sure. I don't, yet again, as a father who's very concerned with the whole family, we'll tell you, yes, if we can get the whole state of Idaho up there, we would love to. But in such a small area that has been combed and combed and combed, something may have been missed, but I don't know. I'm going to be getting with the Lehigh County Sheriff and the Salmon Search and Rescue to see what their thoughts on everything is. And trust me, with such a small area, 175 people, there was nowhere to park, nowhere to walk. There was grid searches up from one, and there's ridges on one side of it and the other, and they're not very far apart. And there was all searched all the way down to the bottom, all the way above the reservoir. The reservoir itself, a lot of people know the place. The reservoir itself isn't, but maybe a few feet deep. You can see, if you're up on top, you can see the bottom of the center. If you're looking at the middle of the reservoir, you can see the bottom of it. So everything has been 100% thoroughly checked, but nobody can guarantee me 100%. So I'm going to keep looking.
We'll continue to look until he's found. We don't care how long it takes. We think as many people that have shared the story and continue to share his pictures and things like that, if somebody has him, they'll eventually
Somebody
bring him
will
back.
come forward wondering where this
Somebody will
child has come
forward
from.
with some sort of
And
information.
that may not be the case, but it could be. So that's why we're trying to look at this aspect as well.
And you want people to keep sharing that
Yes.
photo.
Yes,
Keep sharing
please keep
photos,
sharing his photo. Please keep him in your mind, your hearts, and your prayers, and just keep your eyes open, please. Social media in general, in public, just keep your eyes open and keep sharing.
Tell me about the blanket.
This is his blanket. He doesn't go anywhere without his blanket, his cup, or his monkey. And all 3 of them were left at the campground. And
No, all 3 has to be with him. He will
Yes.
trip over them if he has to, but they are going with him. And this is the first time since he's been born, pretty much, he's been without these things.
Yeah.
And that's why another reason.
Another reason why we're wondering.
yes, because
And that's
this is the
may
blanket
seem,
that we brought him home in from the hospital. This is what comforts him any and all times.
this is an exact replica of a security blanket for everybody.
Mhm.
This is his actual blanket. He does
Yes.
not go anywhere without it. That's our other concern of why.
What
And
would
I-
you, should he be out there and happen to see this? What would you say?
We're looking for you, son, and we will find you. And we love you more than anything in the world. You have a lot of people who love you and are looking for you. Buddy will find you.
We'll
Daddy
never
will
stop
find you.
looking until we get you a home.
I've got a 2-year-old, and you guys have been all I've thought about the past 2 days. Is there anything you want to add? Anything we didn't get to?
Just if somebody has him, please don't hurt him. Just bring him home safely to us.
No matter what it
where
takes.
he belongs. Even if you have to just leave him at a store where somebody else will see him and bring him home safely to us. I don't,
Just drop 'em off
yeah,
somewhere.
just drop him off
And
somewhere
if
where
that's not the case,
somebody is at so that they can see him and bring him home.
and if that may not be the case, we will search for you and search for you and search for you until we find you. No matter how long it takes, no matter what we got to overcome, we will find you, son.
Okay. Okay, let me plug my
For a second. Let me look at my live chat. Let me just use my phone to do it. Okay, what did you guys think? See, I know a lot of people think that Vernal talks a lot. He does, and he was interrupting her a lot. But for some reason, I felt like he was panicked. I felt more emotion from him than her. But during my research, I found out by listening to one of Jessica's mom's interviews that Jessica has always been kind of a reserved person. Her mom said she don't like to show a lot of emotion in front of people, and Vernal is the complete opposite. Now, Vernal and Jessica, they actually dated in high school. For a couple years. They broke up. They went their separate ways. Jessica was married to someone else, had 2 kids. They split up, and then her and Vernal got together, and they had baby Deorr. Okay. Let me find another interview. Now, later on, like I said, they all turn on each other. Jessica and Vernal split up, and then Grandpa comes out, does an interview with the private investigator, and basically says that even though he invited Isaac Reinwan on that camping trip, that he really didn't trust him. He wouldn't trust him to watch baby Deorr. He wouldn't trust him around money. And I'm like, well, why'd you even invite this guy then? Jessica and Vernal had never met Isaac before, even though he had been friends with Grandpa Bob for about 5 years. Okay, let me find Isaac's interview. I want y'all to look at this guy. Let me get the ad down. A lot of people are suspicious of Isaac Reinwan. Now, Isaac was arrested and charged with, let me find his papers here. He was charged with rape, and then it was dropped to domestic battery. It was dropped to a misdemeanor. Yeah, I think that was like in 2006. Yeah, 2006, charged with felony rape. The charges were dropped to domestic battery. Okay, let me screen share this. A lot of people think that, he could have done something to Deorr and went and hid his body before Jessica and Vernal discovered baby Deorr was missing. I don't know about that.
How many cars were there?
The cars, there was two trucks.
Okay, and so who did you ride with?
Bob.
Okay, so that's Jessica's grandpa.
Right.
Did Jessica and Deorr, did they come to your house here?
Bob showed up first, and then they showed up, and they were outside.
And that was the first time you've ever seen Jessica or Deorr?
That is correct.
What was your first impression of them?
That they're just, an average family. I didn't really know much about them. I trusted Bob, though, because, Bob had been my friend for over 5 years, and so.
And did they have anyone in the back seat with them or anything?
As far as I know, the person they had was Deorr back in the back seat. He was in a child seat.
A child seat? And how did he seem, happy?
Yeah, he seemed just like a normal, happy, outgoing kid,
You ride with Bob to the campsite, which is about, 2.5 hours from here? 2 hours?
Something like that, I think.
What time of day did you guys get to the campsite? Do you know?
Evening, towards the evening, I think. It was nighttime. It was almost dark by the time we got to the campsite, actually.
What did you do?
I set up camp and helped start a fire, and that's what we did first, was set up everything.
Did someone have a camper up there?
Yeah, Bob did.
So, and then you slept in a tent?
Right.
And then where did Jessica, Deorr, and the
They-
little guy sleep?
They slept in the back of Bob's blue blazer.
Jessica and Deorr, what was your impression of them up there that night?
I was a little nervous about them because I didn't know them, you know. So Deorr was just kind of wandering around playing and stuff.
Did Jessica and Deorr, like, did they bring beer or anything like that up there?
Jessica and Deorr didn't. Bob brought some whiskey and stuff up.
Did Bob drink any of the whiskey?
I think he might have had actually, no, Bob doesn't drink anymore, so no.
Okay, but he had whiskey.
He had it up there, but he usually brought it with him for other people to drink if they wanted some.
Did you guys go to bed right away that night, or did you stay up by the fire and just kind of enjoy it out there? Or?
I stayed up for a little while. I can't remember what time I went to bed.
Tell me about the next morning. Who got up first, or what order did you get up?
I think I got up first for a while, and you know, we went and used the restroom and everything, and then I went back to bed. But then I can't remember who got up first.
Did you guys all eat breakfast together?
Breakfast, if we even had breakfast that day. I think we did have breakfast that one.
What was baby Deorr like that morning? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think he was playing and trying to throw stuff in the fire, and his dad got after him for that, you know, just like a normal 2-year-old.
So after breakfast, what did you go fishing? Did you go hiking? What did you do?
I went back to bed because I was still tired.
So you don't know what Jessica and Deorr did?
No.
When did you get up for the day? Was it in the afternoon?
I probably about noon or so.
What was going on then?
When I woke up, they were Jessica, Deorr, and his dad were all heading. They're going to head up to the store to see if they could get some gas because they were low on gasoline.
Was the gas station not open when they came through? Or
Yeah.
did they need it for like a generator or something?
I think they needed fuel. For some reason, they needed fuel. I think they were. I can't remember why. But on the way up, yeah, it wasn't open. By the time we got to the store, it wasn't open.
So they left the campground to go get gas. And who went? Who all went?
Deorr went, his mom, and
You mean baby Deorr?
yeah,
and his mom,
baby
Jessica.
Deorr, and his dad.
Okay.
Bob took me around to try to show me a few fishing holes up around the reservoir in that area.
And you saw Deorr when they went to the store, baby Deorr. He was fine. He was just
Yeah,
being a kid. Still.
yeah, and they all packed up and went to the store.
Okay. And then were you at the campground when they came back?
Yeah,
And baby Deorr was still with them when they came back?
that is correct.
Okay. So then what happened? What were you guys doing then? Do you remember?
We kind of just, sat around and chatted for a little bit, hung out, and then Bob told me to go show him where we got all the fishing gear ready, and Bob told me to show them where the fishing hole is. I walked upstream towards the fishing hole where we were catching them.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Bob were fishing before, and I showed him where it was and everything.
How long do you think you were up there with when you were showing Jessica and Deorr? How long were you up there with them?
I'm not sure. I don't.
You don't know. Do you know how far away from the campground you guys were?
Maybe, I don't know, about 300-400 feet or something. Not very far.
Okay.
So I seen when we went to them, I saw. I thought everybody was with us. I thought Deorr. I was ahead of him. Deorr Senior was behind me, and so was Deorr.
Okay. Let me get us part 2. He has a different story than what Jessica and Bernal say. He says he thought baby Deorr was behind them and he looked around. Let me just play it for you guys. And you can see what I'm saying. He says he turns around and Vernal's gone and baby Deorr.
We were going as a group, yeah.
So, and did you look back? Did you actually see them all with you as a group at some point?
At some point, before we were all as a group as we started to leave the campground. I remember all of us being together. Whatever
not
happened, right?
Bob wasn't there.
Bob was at the camp. Stayed at the camp.
Okay, but to the very first spot when you were showing them, do you remember? Was Jessica holding Deorr? Was Senior Deorr holding Deorr? Because if he was having trouble walking, he probably would have had to be carried at some point, right?
Right.
So do you remember if anyone was holding him?
If he was down there, like I said, I don't. It's like I don't. Like I can't answer that. I don't.
That's
like I said, I don't
okay.
remember everything. As far as I know, I thought baby Deorr was still behind us, and I was showing Jessica. Like when I went to go show them the fishing hole, like I went down there and showed Jessica where the fishing hole is, and I assumed that Deorr and his dad were right behind me.
Okay.
Or just behind us. It was taking them a little bit to catch up.
Mm-hmm. And at what point did you and Deorr Senior and Jessica split up? They went somewhere else, and you went somewhere. You said earlier, right? You came down the creek closer to the campground and left them up there.
Yeah.
And so
I don't know. It was like 5-10 minutes. I showed them. I think it must have been 5-10 minutes.
Okay.
After I did that, I started to walk. I walked towards camp, and I went to another fishing hole to fish. And I was down there fishing for a while, and that's when I noticed Bob was up there on the ridge walking, pacing back and forth. So I asked him what was going on, and he said little Deorr is missing. And I was like, what? So
and then
exactly the distance there.
You said that Bob was like pacing on the ridge. What do you mean the ridge?
There's really high banks. I'm at the very bottom of the bank, so it's hard to even see up over the bank because of how steep the banks are.
So you said you noticed Bob pacing.
Kinda.
What did he look like to you? Was he stressed?
He looked like he was kind of stressed or worried about something, so.
And so that's what made you think to ask him what was going on. And he said
that little Deorr's missing. So.
And your reaction was?
Well, where did he go? I better start help look for him.
So then what did you do?
I walked up to the bank and I talked to Bob a little bit more about where he might be, and we started looking in the campers and everything first. We looked in the camper. We looked all around the area. We looked underneath the vehicles. We went up in the hills. I went up in the hill up there about to where the reservoir is. I went up there and looked around. I must have went out by myself for probably about a half an hour looking, trying to find Deorr, and I couldn't find him.
So was Jessica and Deorr, Jessica's boyfriend or fiance at the time, were they at the campsite when Bob told you Deorr was missing? When he was pacing on the bank and you walked up, were they at the campsite?
When I went down there when I went up there to talk to Bob, no, they were already out looking for him.
So you didn't see him. They were out. So you and Bob searched the immediate area.
Me and Bob searched the immediate area right there for a little bit. His mom came from, I don't know, she was out in the sagebrush looking, and she came back to camp, and I talked to her a little bit, and I said, what's going on here? Like, he's missing.
Did she seem upset?
Yeah, she seemed pretty upset. I couldn't really look at you in the face or anything. She hasn't been able to do that I don't know for what reason.
Did you ever have the impression before law?
So he just said that Jessica never made eye contact.
Enforcement or search and rescue out there, did you ever have a thought that maybe someone took him? Did you ever think that? Or was that something that came about when he just couldn't be found?
I thought maybe he got lost or somewhere and sat down.
Okay.
That's what my impression was, or,
Deorr, Jessica's fiance, Do you know where he went? Was he in the truck, or was he on foot?
He was on foot for a while, and then he was also in the truck. He got in the truck too to go down by the cattle guard to go look for him down there too.
Okay. But you stayed busy then.
I stayed busy looking, going up the hills, all over. Yeah.
Was Deorr Senior? Was he angry? Did he get aggressive with Bob? Did he say like, he was here last? Like, was there frustration?
I think there was a little bit, but he didn't seem to get too angry at Bob. So
Deorr, did he ever appear frustrated or anything? Did he tell Bob at the time I left him here with you? Did he ever say anything like that?
Not that I remember, no.
Did Vernal, Deorr, Jessica's boyfriend or fiance, he left the campground? Did he leave the campground in his truck to go call 911? Or do you know?
As far as I know, he left the campground in his truck to go look for little Deorr over by the cattle guard.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I don't know if they left to go call it or if they called it from there with one of their cell phones. I don't know.
Okay. Was Bob continuing to look too? Could he get up and down the hills very easy?
Yeah, he had kind of a hard time because he had the oxygen machine and the tubes. So.
Okay. So was there a shovel involved at any point? Did anybody have a shovel?
Okay. So let's listen to part 3 and then we will discuss it. Let me get out of my full screen here. Now, Grandpa Bob always had a shovel with him. People made a big deal out of that, but I reckon that was just something he carried around in his vehicle. A lot of people do that, actually. Let's see, part 3. Get the ad down. I don't know about this guy. He was accused of rape. The charges were dropped to misdemeanor domestic assault. I kind of feel like he's telling the truth.
Things he carried with him all the time.
So no one ever took that shovel out of the camper?
As far as I know, I don't remember it being actually taken. I remember the officers asking about it.
Okay. Jessica or Deorr Senior when did they first say that maybe he was kidnapped?
Or that he was or something happened. I don't remember.
Okay. They had mentioned about the boots he was wearing, that they were too big for him. Is that your same opinion?
Yeah, they were kind of big on him, and he was kind of clumping around,
And that was your observation, not
right.
what they told you.
Right, and he had kind of a hard time walking anyway, because he's only had 2.
Your last impression, the last time you saw baby Deorr, what was your impression of him? That you can remember the last time seeing him?
That he was, having fun. Just like I said, he was just like a normal Deorr, having fun, doing his thing, looking at different, exploring, looking at different things,
Can you say 100% for sure baby Deorr was up there?
Yes, I can tell you that much, that he was up there.
Okay. What were your thoughts that night when you were trying to fall asleep? What was going through your mind out, thinking about that day's events?
Where he was, if, it's cold, if he's going to be sick, if he's okay. Mm-hmm. That's what was going through my head.
Did you ever feel accused by them? Did they ever confront you?
I don't know for say how I just kind of felt that way, just the way.
Okay. You had that impression that maybe
I felt like I had that impression, yes, that I was being scapegoated, or maybe partially accused,
Mm-hmm. So when you say scapegoated, do you mean are you saying you felt like they were using you for the fall guy?
I can't, it's kind of felt like that, but I don't really know.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's a fact. I'm just curious what was going through your mind.
Right.
So, but you felt that way.
Kind of, yeah.
You don't have anything to hide then.
No.
And you cooperated with law enforcement that night when they spoke to you.
Yes, I did.
You told him everything.
Yeah, I told him about everything that was going on.
So now a year later, no sign of him. What are your thoughts? You heard that Jessica got remarried?
That's what I heard. I thought that was kind of weird. She just got out of a relationship not even 6 months ago. I don't know, and gets remarried. That's weird. I mean, who does that?
What are your thoughts about Deorr?
I don't know. I haven't seen him or heard from him or anything.
No.
Nope. They don't, like I said, they don't talk to me.
Does Bob talk to you?
Yeah, Bob's come around a few times.
How's Bob doing?
He seems to be doing all right.
Yeah. So he just stops by to say hi.
He stops by sometimes to say hi. Yeah. Like there was a few weeks ago, he stopped by and was saying, "Hey, we should go do this," and then he was gone and he kept stopping by off and on.
Uh-huh.
And then one time he stopped by and it was me and a bunch of my friends, and so then he was here for a few minutes, and then he split, and I haven't seen him again. And it's been almost 2 weeks. So I don't know. It's just weird. Like I said, he does weird things. I don't know.
Your opinion of him? Could he hurt someone?
I don't think so. No.
What if there was an accident? What do you think? Do you think that's possible that an accident happened?
Yeah, it could have been an accident. Could be possible.
Do you think kidnapping is possible, that he was kidnapped?
I can't say it could be possible too. It could be possible he was kidnapped, something happened, an accident of some sort. It's just, he needs, like I said, that Deorr needs to be found, he just, people need closure, so everybody can just calm down and everybody can, go back to their lives and everything. At least, let people know what's going on, and if they can find him or what, it'd be nice.
Do you think there'll be a resolution to this case?
At this point, I can't say that if there will or there won't, but I'm hoping for the best, and there will be.
And you'll continue to cooperate with law enforcement?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So let me get my chat. So Jessica, he thought it was strange. I think it's strange too that she got married within no time of little Deorr going missing, 6 months later, 6 or 7 months later. Okay, let me get to my live chat here. They all have changed their story. Grandpa Bob, in one version, he says that he didn't know he was supposed to be watching little Deorr. He thought that little Deorr followed them down to the creek. Another time, he said that little Deorr was by the pine trees playing with dirt. He looked away for 10 minutes, looked back around, and he was gone. Grandpa Bob, he died in 2019. Now, he had oxygen on, so that could have gave him memory problems. I know one thing. That little 2-year-old did not walk into the Rocky Mountains and just disappear. I do not believe that. He couldn't walk that good anyways. He's 2 years old. Plus, he had on boots that were too big for him. And I really think that if a wild animal had have gotten him, they would have found traces of that. Some blood. I mean, they had search dogs in there. They had helicopters, searchers on foot, horseback. I mean, they never found any boots or anything. Now, the medium I always talk about, Reverend Donna Serafina, she did a reading on this case, and she says that baby Deorr was took off by a bear. I do think that woman has gifts, but I disagree with that. I think she's wrong on this case. That's just my opinion, because they searched all the known caves and dens around. They even searched Eagle's Nest. They found nothing. Nothing. And I just don't think anyone abducted him. I'm not quite sure what happened. I know they all act weird as hell, and they all have changed their stories. And according to that I think it was Phillip Klein, the private investigator, the second private investigator that helped them, he claims that Deorr Sr., aka Vernal, and Jessica both failed multiple polygraph tests. But we know those polygraph tests are not always right, because the Green River Killer passed one. When he first came up on police's radar, he took a polygraph and passed it. And he was lying. He was the killer. The bear wouldn't eat his boots. You know what I have heard about bears? And I need to look this up and see if it's true. But I heard when bears kill something, or, they find a dead animal or something, they will bury it and come back and dig it up and eat it later. Now, if a big cat got him, like a mountain lions take whatever they kill, their prey, up in trees, and they'll come back and get it down later and eat it. But anyways, I think they would have found something if an animal got him. I see somebody new in the chat. Crap, I don't got my glasses on, and my chat scrolled. Now I can't find it. I thought I'm saying hi to Light Feather. Oh, there it is. Miss C.D. Isaac. Hi, welcome. Oh, yeah. That same PI claims that Vernal and Jessica went to a sex shop after they did that first interview with Nate Eaton. I don't know if that's true or not. If it is, that is freaking weird. Very suspicious. I'll be honest. I'm more suspicious of Jessica than I am Vernal. Now, I know people think he talks a lot, but when I was watching that interview, every time that I've watched it, I just get that he was panicked. I really think he was upset. That's just my opinion. I've been here before, just had to change my Google name for freaks finding me on Facebook. Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, I got threatened by a freak last night. They commented on 2 different of my videos and threatened to come CPS. They told me CPS was on their way to my house. I've got the screenshots. Pieces of shit. I wish you would do something like that. Fucking cowards. He seems like a control freak. I noticed that she looked like she was a little annoyed in that interview. He kept interrupting her. She was trying to speak, and he was just going on and on and on. The weirdos are back. Yeah, there's plenty of weirdos on here. Let me look at the name, Mau. I think it was a Nikita something. Let me look at my screenshot here. Nikita says, CPS will see you soon. Okay. It was under my Megan Boswell announcement hearing. And then they went to the video on Orrin and Orson West discussion, John Benet Ramsey. CPS are on their way, they said. I got the screenshots. I put them in Discord, my Patreon this morning. Weirdos. Do something like that. I wish one of you weirdos would show up at my house. I don't even gotta say what condition you'd leave in. Yeah, I was laying there watching a video last night. Noticed I had some notifications. Got my notifications and went down a little bit. And I saw that on that Megan Boswell video. And at first I thought, well, are they talking about Megan? Because sometimes people will say stuff like that and they're referring to the person in the video or something, And then I saw it was on my video from yesterday that they had said something else about it. And I was like, I'm going to screenshot this before I block these weirdos. Meerkat. Hey, Meerkat. I love that name. I love Meerkat Manor. Been following this missing little boy since day one. Know this case very deeply. There is so much drama surrounding this case, unfortunately. Meerkat, do you know anything about the parents visiting a sex shop? Because that's what that Phillip Klein says. Now, Bernal said that he wouldn't hire Klein to find a missing dog. Now, Bernal did sue him for breach of contract and stuff, and for saying stuff to the media about him that wasn't true, and he didn't have no facts to back up, but I think that was dismissed. Timothy would have CPS sworn in him. Hey, people's nuts on here. I don't bother nobody. I don't get involved in none of the drama that's been going on. I just stay neutral. I don't get emotionally invested in that because I'm cool with everybody. So I don't know why anybody would want to say that to me for. I've done nothing. Well, I'm just curious because if they did do that, I mean, that is weird. Suspicious, but I didn't see anything to prove that. All I know is that little boy just didn't vanish into thin air. Something happened. A lot of people don't think Deorr even went on that camping trip because nobody at that store in Ledor remembered seeing him. And then there's another theory that Jessica set up an abduction, gave him away to someone. I'm not sure if I believe that or not. Well, I don't think that's true. Klein wants his fame. Yeah. Now, the other PI, what was his name? I've done put my notes away here. He worked for the U.S. Marshal Service. And, he withdrew his services because he said, he didn't feel like they were being truthful with him. And she didn't want to do any news interviews and, try to get the word out about Deorr. And he found that very suspicious. And he actually thinks that she set it up for someone to come and pick up baby Deorr because she didn't want him anymore. Yeah, he does have a criminal. They charged him with rape and then dropped it to domestic battery. I'd like to know the story behind that charge. Why was he even charged with that to begin with? People are nuts on here. They just try to scare people is all it is. I ain't worried about those weirdos. What else was I going to say about this case? It is possible that, if some weirdo did spot him out at the store, some local could have known their way around the area there and snuck in some way. Who knows? Anything's possible. I just don't believe a wild animal carried him off. There would have been evidence of that. One of them, 4 people knows what happened to him. Oh, does it? I know that Isaac got married. I didn't know he had a child, though. He seems a little... Gosh, please, nobody take this the wrong way, but he seems a little slow. I did see Jessica in an interview. I think it was the interview with the PI where she, she said a few things like she was suspicious of him because, she really didn't know him. Here they can't take him on this camping trip and little Deorr goes missing. Let me get into my playlist here. Let's see what other interviews I have. Oh, they did find some human remains. I believe it was in 2019. not far from the campground where little Deorr disappeared from. But those human remains were not Deorr's. I did see an article about that. We could listen to the former PI's interview here real quick before I freaking get off here. Hold on one sec. Let me screen share it.
And what I mean by that, I wanted to go
September.
Well, basically, I told them that because of circumstances beyond my control, I dropped them as clients because of a breach of trust on their part, because they didn't seem to trust me, what I wanted to do. And what I mean by that, I wanted to go public with this. I wanted to go national public, and I wanted to advertise, we have this little missing boy. We need more eyes and ears to try to find this missing boy. I offered a $20,000 reward, and they did not want me offering the reward. They said that the sheriff didn't want it. They said the sheriff didn't want to go public, and the sheriff never mentioned that to me. And so I started finding little things that they were inconsistent. Their stories didn't jive. One was the timeline, and there was an overemphasis of Jessica stating that she knew the boy was in the campground because she kept looking back. I kept looking back. I kept looking back. And it seemed like this was like an overkill. Why would she keep saying this over and over and over again? She wanted to establish that the boy was in the campground. And this was after they came back from town, and they saw some fish that Isaac and Bob, the grandfather, caught. And so Deorr says, well, show me where those fish are. Where'd you catch those fish? And so they went off with Jessica, Deorr, and Isaac went off to the creek where they caught the fish, supposedly. And Jessica kept saying, I kept looking back to make sure the little man was there, kept looking back. And why did she overemphasize that? And that was kind of one of the things. And she couldn't answer my question as to why she kept saying that, why she wanted to establish like an alibi that the boy was there. And some other things that were just inconsistent, and they didn't want to, they just were hiding things, like they weren't coming forth with the truth. They didn't make line. The timeline didn't make sense.
When the news came out earlier this week that the sheriff is naming them as suspects, were you surprised?
No, I wasn't surprised at all. And a lot of reasons for that is because the sheriff's not going to just make wild accusations. They're not going to do anything until they have some evidence. There's always double jeopardy involved too. So they name them as suspects, and they're not going to make an arrest. And most law enforcement people aren't going to make an arrest until they have the evidence to do so, because of double jeopardy. Because you don't want to make an arrest and then the charges are dismissed with prejudice. So they want to avoid that. So that when they know that they have suspects, they have some good concrete evidence, and they're going to name them as suspects and move them up from persons of interest. And that's what they did in this case.
Why come forward with this information now?
Well, it's because they spread the rumor that they fired me. And that's not true. And I got that from the guy who was making the documentary on missing children. They told me that Deorr and Jessica told me that they dismissed me, that they fired me.
And it's dated September. That's when you actually sent it to them and mailed it to them.
Correct. That followed up the same date of my email. I sent them an email of the same date, September 25th. Basically, I said the same thing in my email to them.
What do you think happened to Deorr?
Well, I feel there's one possibility is a scenario is that it's only because of Jessica giving up her custody of her other two kids, and because she didn't really want kids. And when she had Deorr, that her tubes were tied and for all intents and purposes sterilized, so she could never be reversed. And I believe that because of the laws, Nebraska is an example, and Utah, their adoption laws, as long as even though the father may be on the birth certificate, as long as they were not married, the mother could basically has carte blanche to do what she wants to do as far as adopting out her child. So I think one possibility was the child was adopted out. It was an out-of-state adoption, which was arranged. And as a cover story, so Deorr wouldn't find out about they staged this possible stranger abduction or prearranged abduction. Or there was a problem where the boy was injured and could be deceased, but I kind of lean towards looking towards life rather than death. So I just feel that there's a possibility that the boy could have been adopted out and didn't want the father to know. And now, because of them being named as suspects, the pressure we put on between the two, so hopefully one will roll over on the other one. But it just didn't make sense if this boy's missing. And I wanted to see resolution to this case, a favorable resolution, but more time goes by. It doesn't look like it's going to be that way. It could be that there was a homicide.
Did they ever pay you for any of your services?
No, that's another thing too. They said that they paid me, but they never paid me. There was some missing money. In fact, at the very beginning, when I said I work for, cover my expenses, but I won't charge you for my hourly rate. And then Deorr says, well, I have a cousin in Utah that has a GoFundMe, and she has $1,900, and we'll see you get some of that. And then a few days later, I found out that $1,900 was missing. And so whoever this person was, this cousin in Utah, had misappropriated the money, used it for their personal use. And then one of the other reasons I dropped the case too, I know that Deorr was pressuring people to donate money. He was getting money from these folks back in Maryland and these GoFundMe accounts. And then I heard his other missing money, and he was exploiting people. And I just didn't want to be involved with anything where somebody be exploiting money from other people. It just didn't add up. It didn't make sense to me that they didn't seem like they were like the normal people would be for their son being missing. It seemed like they were concealing something and hiding something, and their body language too. They wouldn't look, particularly Jessica, not looking in the eye. She always look down, look away. And even when I tried to go eyeball to eyeball with her, when I talked to her, she would look away and not look me straight in the eye and answer my questions.
Well, thank you very much, Frank.
Okay.
Let me get back to my chat here for a minute. And so that guy is actually the one that worked for the U.S. Marshals Services. And he claimed to quit working with them because they weren't truthful with him. They didn't seem like, they were interested in finding their son, according to him. Let me see what y'all are saying. She's probably cracking up all the angels. Was there ever a question of neglect or abuse? I have not seen anything where they were accused of it. Now, people want to know why they left a 2-year-old boy with Grandpa Bob at the campsite and him on oxygen and not able to run after a 2-year-old. I find that strange too. I mean, the man could barely move around. Cops did rule him out as a suspect because they just said, he wasn't able to do anything. Yeah, that was a good interview. I've got a whole playlist of videos. There's just so much to this case, guys. I could never cover it in one stream. It's so interesting, but it's so sad. I just wonder what happened to that child. We know he just didn't wander off and just keep walking into the wilderness. They would have found him. They had search and rescue in there. You heard Big Deorr Sr. say that the guys from the helicopter saw this small item on the ground and identified it. I can't remember what he said it was. So I think if little Deorr had have wandered off into the woods, they would have found it. They didn't find anything, not a trace of him. You know, since the 1950s, there have been at least 4 to 5 children that have gone missing in the Rocky Mountains. Yes. One little boy that went missing in the 50s, some hikers actually found his skeletal remains like in the 90s, I believe, late 90s, something like that. Nate, yeah, I like Nate. He's a good reporter. One of the interviews I was watching, he was like, "This is the biggest story of my career." And I was thinking, well, you didn't know it then, but the Bello case was going to be another big story for you. He's a good guy. He's got care. He cares about the victims, you can tell. Missing 411 has a lot too. Oh my gosh, y'all have got to watch that movie. Missing 411, Deorr Kunz story. It tells all about all the different kids that have vanished in the Rocky Mountains. One little boy was at this camp. It was a camp for boys. This little boy was deaf, right? He was down by the creek fishing. One of the camp counselors goes and gets him. It's like, hey, it's dinner time. They start walking back up the path, go into camp. The counselor turns around, and that little boy is gone, vanished, without a trace. How in the world did that happen? It was a straight path from where he was fishing back into camp. Those counselors actually returned the next year to help look for him, and they discovered him the next year in a rocky ravine that had been searched several different times. And that's not the only little boy that has gone missing there. Meerkat, no, Jessica still sees her 2 children. The dad has full custody. Well, I just think what that PI said about, because she got her tubes tied, that's a sign that she didn't want kids. No, it's not. A lot of people get their tubes tied. They just don't want to have any more kids. That don't mean they don't want the kids they already have. So I totally disagree with him on that. Actually, I think that's stupid that he thinks that. Just because someone gets their tubes tied, that means that they don't want their other kids. That's so stupid. It is a sad story. We'll have to talk about it again. Yes, Nate is actually in that movie. We need to find that so we can share the link with everybody that's not watched it. This goes into good details about all the missing kids. This went missing in the Rocky Mountains, I mean. Okay, let me get the link here. If you guys have not seen this, you need to watch it. It is so good. It's got a lot of information in it. There's just so much information in this case. It's hard to do it just one live stream. I know I missed a lot. I'd like to meet Nate Eaton someday and thank him. I know he's done such a good job on Deorr's case and Tylee and JJ's case. Who went missing? Mel Mel. I missed your comment. There's so many missing kids in the world. Sapphire, she gave up custody of her 2 other kids. Yeah, and the reason Jessica said she gave custody to her older kids' dad is because that he could provide better for them. A lot of people do that. A lot of people make that hard decision. That don't mean that she didn't want little Deorr. So, I totally have to disagree with that PI about that. I just find that ludicrous that he thinks that. Just because she had her tubes tied, that means she didn't want Deorr. William Tyrell. Okay, let me write this down. I'll look it up. Maybe next time we talk about this, we can have some panel guests to help me because it's just hard for me to do this by myself. Chelsea is a news reporter. Okay, let me write her name down too. I think I know who you're talking about, Meerkat. I think I watched her interview with Isaac. Okay. Holidays is a good guy, but I'm not into that Bigfoot theory. Yeah, I don't think that Bigfoot snatched the kids, all the kids that went missing. No, no way. A lot of people think it's alien abductions. No. Well, thank you, Mel Mel. I thought it was just easier to play these interviews so you guys could see them talking and judge for yourself. Well, thank you, guys. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Well, guys, I'm going to wrap this up and get off here. My little ladybug is beside of me, and she was pawing at me, so she's wanting me to let her out. Anyhow, you guys have a great weekend. Channel members, I'll see y'all Saturday night. I'm going to have a Google Meet. I'll make a community post for y'all with the link. Any new channel members, if you're not familiar, Google Meet is just a place we can privately hang out. And if you have a cell phone, I believe you have to download the Google Meet app. I think if you're using like a laptop, you can just open the link up through like your browser. Anyhow, I'll make a post about that with the link and everything, probably this afternoon sometime. That way everyone will know ahead of time. Anyways, thanks for chatting. Thanks for your support. Oh, and thank you, Lori, for the super chat. I about forgot. I made a note to tell you thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of y'all. You guys are awesome. Anyways, have a great weekend. See some of y'all Saturday. Be safe, be kind, and peace.